Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about your accounting records and what you need to be keeping to keep HMRC happy. So let's talk about accounting records. Now, there's quite a few that you may or may not need to keep, but let's start off with how you need to keep them. Now, at the moment, you do not have to keep them in any specific format. However, we have got something called Making Tax Digital, which, depending what type of format you've chosen to structure your property business in, will have a direct impact on when Making Tax Digital applies to you and your property business. Check out the Making Tax Digital video on the channel, and that will talk through what is happening with Making Tax Digital in the current time that you're watching this video. So let's jump into accounting records and what you need to be keeping for your property business. Whether you are self-employed and doing this on your personal tax return or within the structure of a company, you will need to keep accounting records. And there are two things you will need to keep accounting records for. First, the accounts that you're completing if you're a company, and secondly, for your tax return, whether that be a corporation tax return or an income tax return. So let's start with the basics of the records you'll need to keep. And that really is the money coming in and the money coming out. So really, that's your bank statements. That is whatever bank statements you're using for the business. So that might just be one bank account, or it might be multiple bank accounts. If you keep it simple and keep it to one, then that's all the information that you need to retain. If you're using multiple accounts, you will need to keep hold of all of those records. You will also need to keep track of all the assets of your business. So this will include, for a property business, all the properties that are owned by either you or your company. Now, this will include things like your completion statement. It will be your solicitor's fees. It will be anything that you have pulled together in the purchase of that property. And also, you'll need to keep track of the debts of the business. So that is likely to be any mortgages or angel investor agreements or any private loans that you've got. So you'll need to keep track of all of those, whether it be to a third party, a friend, family member, business contact, or whether it be yourself. So if you are loaning money to the company, you'll also need to keep track of that money that you are loaning to the company. You'll also need to keep track of anything that you're buying and selling in the business. Now, obviously, as a property business, there's probably not much that you're buying and selling. And the most likely income that you're going to be receive is rental income. So you'll need to keep your tenancy agreements as evidence of the income that you are expecting to receive and also what you do receive. And in terms of expenses, you'll need to be keeping track of your utility bills, any kind of services you provide and amenities like your broadband and any maybe Netflix or anything like that that you are providing to your tenants. You need to keep track of that and have evidence of those payments. In terms of the reason why you need to keep that is because if you don't keep appropriate records for tax purposes, there are fines of up to £3,000, and they may, if they want to, be able to disqualify you as a director. So that can have detrimental impacts on any other business you may be involved in or any future businesses you do want to get involved in. Check out the other videos on the channel which go into more specific expenses you can claim depending on the type of strategy you've chosen in your property business, and this will go into more of the nitty-gritty of the items that you can claim. A question I get asked regularly is, how long do I need to keep my records for? Now, you need to keep your records for at least 6 years, and it's 6 years following the end of the accounting period. So for an individual, this is going to be the 5th of April each year and 6 years following that. And for a limited company, it's the end of the accounting period, which can obviously be any month in the year. So depending what month your year end is, it will be 6 years from that date. Finally, I just wanted to mention about if you don't have the records or if they're damaged, stolen or lost. Now, HMRC accept that sometimes this does happen. Now, obviously, as an accountant, I'm telling you, try and maintain them and look after them and keep them safe. But if this is the case, then all HMRC expect you to do is do your best to recreate them and make sure that you pull together an appropriate return at the appropriate times and report as you would normally. So it doesn't mean you can ignore your responsibilities, it just means you have to do your best and fulfill everything you need to. Obviously, things like bank statements, you can get copies from the banks. You may not always be able to get copy invoices and things like that, but hopefully from the bank statement, that starts to collate most of the information together. To finish this video, I just wanted to mention about how you need to maintain those records, as these days with cameras, with PDF format, we obviously don't have physical records in the same sort of way. Now, HMRC doesn't have a distinction now between whether they want photographs, physical or electronic. So you can maintain your records in a digital format moving forward, which means you don't necessarily need to keep the physical records fully. Personally, I tend to keep most of the physical records as much as I can, just so that they're there, but also at times have digital records as well. But that is your choice. The main thing is you keep copies of all your records so that they're all fit together if HMRC want to ask any questions. I hope today you've discovered how HMRC will want you to keep your records and what you need to be keeping to make sure you comply with the rules. If you do have any questions about different types of records and whether you need them, please do leave a comment in the comments box below. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel to find out more about property, accounts and tax related topics. Let's make tax less taxing.